Hello, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Lauren.
And this is I've Got Guts, a podcast about living and thriving with chronic illness. Let's be real, it is really hard.
But it doesn't have to be. You are not alone.
With this podcast, we want to create a community and a space to be able to talk about the tough stuff
And laugh along the way.
The idea for this podcast stemmed from us trying to find one for ourselves to listen to, but not being able to find anything that didn't make us more sad or frustrated.
Our goal is to talk about the hard stuff, but also talk about how to get through it, be positive, have a full and productive life, and of course, thrive.
But before we get started, just so we are clear, we are not medical professionals. We are just here sharing our personal experiences.
All right, here we go. Welcome to a new episode.
New episode, Sunday. We're all feeling a little tired.
Yeah, a little cracked out after I spent my morning at the football field freezing.
It's sad that we're saying that in April.
Oh my goodness. It's just this real sharp wind that was blowing hard and my face is still numb hours later.
Here is Western New York for you. We were just saying last year on this day was my bridal shower and we had on dresses with no sleeves and open toe shoes. We were fine. It was warm. Yeah. And today you had heat warmers in your boots and you still can't feel your face.
I literally still have my hot hands here because I have Raynaud's and my fingertips are still trying to become unnumb.
Oh when will we ever get spring, or is it going to be one of those years where we jump from winter to summer?
It just might be. But hey, I'm ready. 75, 80, 90, come at us with it hard.
Seriously.
All right. Thorns and roses.
Let's start with roses today.
Okay.
Go backwards a little.
Okay, you want to go first? I feel like you did something fun last night.
We did. We needed some laughs. So we went to a local place here called Comedy at the Carlson, and we saw a comedian that I've been following for a few years. His name is Jared Freed, and he is hysterical. I mean, we needed a laugh. We got a really good laugh. I almost peed my pants 5 times.
I love it. The joke you were just telling me that he said, I was crying laughing. I can only imagine how it was when he was delivering it.
Yeah, just very relatable. And the way that his voice, the way he changes his voice and everything just makes you laugh even harder. It was a good time.
Oh, that's exactly what you both needed. A good solid couple hours of laughing.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
What was your rose?
So my rose just happened an hour ago.
I love that.
Our fresh rose. A fresh rose just blossomed. So Becky, one of our girlfriends who lives in Pennsylvania, was here in Rochester for her son Brady's basketball tournament. And with tournaments, you just never know when you're going to play. It's just really, it depends on how they perform in the tournament. So I knew she was here. She was 20 minutes from our house. So I'm we will see you. We're going to make it work. And she popped over for an hour and a half with her family. And I got to spend some time with her and see her. And it just we don't always get to see each other.
Oh, yeah.
And it just made my Sunday. And Connor really got along with her son Brady. They were fishing. They're playing basketball. So we already made a plan. They're going to come back this summer.
Aww.
They've never done Strong Museum of Play.
Oh, okay.
We've got to go. We can swim. He loves to fish. They just have a lot. The two of them have a lot in common. So it was
What's
a great
the age
day.
difference?
He's 12. And then I think, did he just turn 12 and Connor's turning 10? So
it's
they get
not
close.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's such a sweet family. So
I love that.
That was my rose today. All right, thorns.
You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. So I have a little issue going on with my celiac artery, and my thorn this week is just about the celiac artery. So I'm visiting the vascular doctor. I don't know why I just said visiting. I'm just going to go visit that vascular doctor. I'm going to see that vascular doctor over spring break. And they've sent me for another ultrasound just to check the celiac artery to get a baseline. Is it still, what did I say it was? 9 millimeters, I believe. Is that what I said? Yes.
Right. Because you were kind of hoping that it stayed the same.
Or got smaller, which is really what we wanted. they went in to check that, but it was a different type of ultrasound. They were also looking at the mesenteric vessels, and that, when they looked at it, was great. They wanted to make sure there was like no blockage, there was no aneurysm there, and everything was flowing beautifully with that vessel, which was great. But they did see that the celiac artery grew by 1 millimeter. So it did get a little bit, so that aneurysm is just, it grew a little bit. So again, nothing where I have to do anything of emergency nature, like I have to go to the hospital or anything like that. But just more data to gather, I guess, before I meet with vascular over spring break, which is in 2 weeks. So stay tuned there, a little thorn in my side. And, I still don't feel 100%. And yes, I'm going like crazy. This weekend has been so packed. I don't think I've put my butt on the couch at any point this weekend.
Yeah,
and
you need it.
Yeah. So on top of just having a busy weekend and then, just not feeling 100%, I'm dragging.
Yeah.
Big
I
time.
can tell. You look tired.
I'm definitely haggard. I got here, I'm like, I am so haggard. Good thing you guys don't see us on video because I am not as
You don't look as bad as you think you look, but I just can tell you're tired.
I am. So that was my thorn. All right, Rome. Your thorn.
My thorn's a hard one. So when we started this podcast, our goal was to share our stories. And I was in the midst of going through IVF, and I committed to sharing my IVF story because I know that it's something that women have always been a bit shameful of, and it's something that's hidden. And even going through this, I've had so many people come out to me like, I went through this. And I'm like, oh my God, you went through this? Like, I had no idea. So it became also like something I felt important to share because I don't want women to feel ashamed of it. Like some of us can't have babies the normal way. And it's a physical process, it's emotional, it's mentally draining. It takes a toll on you in so many ways, very similar to chronic illness. So I felt that it was important to share my story. But getting to this point, I never thought about having to share this part of the story. So bear with me because this is a hard one for me. So we had our transfer, and I know you guys, you heard all that hope in my heart. And I genuinely thought that this transfer was going to work, but it did not. And we lost the baby. And this is probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to go through in my whole life. And many people don't understand. For those of us going through IVF, once you create an embryo, that's a little life that you feel that you've created. It was something that Anthony and I made together that for a few moments I felt growing inside of me. So it's really hard to know that that's no longer there. And we really have had to grieve the loss of that little life that we planned for. We were making plans for that baby. So that was our only embryo that we had. But we did talk to our doctor, and we have a plan for moving forward. Unfortunately, I do have to go for another egg retrieval. But our new doctor seems amazing, and we both feel very comfortable with this plan, and we're actually kind of hoping to get the ball started this week. So, we don't want to put any pauses in between because we're ready to be parents. I want to be a mom. Anthony wants to be a dad. We are so ready for this. And while we're still very much so grieving the loss of what could have been and that little baby that grew in our minds for a short period of time, we are ready for the next steps and for what's going to come next. And for anyone who's listening who's been through this and has experienced this, from the very bottom of my heart, I feel for you, and I'm sorry that you ever had to feel this way. I don't, and no one should ever have to feel this way in their whole life.
No, they shouldn't. And I think what you're doing, sharing your story, Room, is so just brave. It's so brave because you're putting yourself out there, and you're someone that people can relate to, because not everybody shares their story, their heart in this transparent way. And it's so beautiful. But yes, there's a heartbreak in there too. But you're also talking about something while you're going through it when most people don't. They're quiet, they hide because that's what feels like they have to or they need to. But I love you so much and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And your baby's coming. Your baby's coming. I feel it. We know it. It's happening. You're meant to be a mom. Like you're meant to be a mom. I'm drooling, crying. I'm like, I need to pass. I can't. We should have put tissues near us today.
We should have.
Oh my goodness. But yes, your baby is coming. And I'm so proud of you, Rome. I am. You're amazing. And everyone keeps saying, you're so strong. You're so strong. But I think the most amazing thing is how you and Anthony are you're letting yourself do what feels right through this process. And no matter, there's no right, there's no wrong. It's just whatever is right for you, you know? And I admire you both. And I know your baby's coming.
It is.
It's coming.
It's coming.
It is.
And with that being said, our shout out of the week is to all of our listeners and our friends and our family who really went out of their way to show Anthony and I the love and the support that we needed when we needed it most. Mm-hmm. I mean, you and Connor brought us dinner that night and you brought us laughter that night. And my coworkers, Wendy and Amanda and Mindy, sent me flowers. And my speech therapist, Kim, and my OT, Olivia, sent us a DoorDash gift card this weekend, so we didn't have to think about cooking. And then the phone calls and the text messages and we've been overwhelmed again. We feel so surrounded by love. And I encourage anybody going through IVF to share their story with people around you because it's nice to feel supported in every aspect of your life. Like, for the most part at work, I was embraced and everybody understood I was going through something hard. There were some people who weren't so kind to me at work, even though I went through probably the worst thing I'll ever go through in my life. But that's another story for another day. But it was nice. When I walked into work on Friday, it was some people just hugged me and didn't say any words, which was nice because no matter what, I was going to cry. You know what I mean? It was just, I felt we both did, because I know the same thing for Anthony. Like, everybody just gave us our space and let us grieve in the way that we were meant to, for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we really appreciate that. So many people reached out to us, just said, we love you. We're thinking of you. We're praying for you. So,
and that is a huge bonus of being so transparent and sharing this journey as you're on it, right? Yeah. Like, yes, you have to share the hard moments, but then the outpouring of love, not everybody gets that when they're quiet about their journey because nobody knows what they're going through, you know? So this is a perk that you have.
It breaks my heart that anybody ever had to bear through that alone.
Mm-hmm. Right. In secrecy. It's crazy. It's crazy thinking about when Connor and I brought you food. It was so cute. Connor thought he was going to come on the podcast to share this funny story. I'm like, buddy, it's not that funny. And we had a lot of laughter that night, but I'm like, we're just gonna, that'll be a story for another time. He's like, should I come, Mom? Is that your rose this week?
I do love that, on the way to our house, he was like, Mom, what can we do to make her laugh?
I know. Yes. He's the best. He's always trying to cheer you up. He does not want to see his Aunt Room sad.
No,
so
I know.
He even brought over his baby fox,
which is sitting next to our other fox, watching over us.
That's
at
perfect.
Night.
Connor I think he wants you to remain with it until the baby is here as a protective fox. So don't feel like you need to rush to return it.
Okay. I will cherish that fox.
Oh, all right.
All right. So today, we are sharing the story of a woman we are going to call Sue.
Yes.
She has actually chosen to remain anonymous, but her journey is one that so many people with chronic symptoms can relate to. The years of frustration, testing, no clear answers. So, Lauren, you recently connected with Sue. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you met?
Yeah. So, Sue reached out about a year ago when she was seriously considering a Heller myotomy surgery with Dr. Jones. who just so happened to be the same thoracic surgeon who performed my surgery. And her and I have kind of stayed in touch, throughout the year. And I've watched her navigate this just incredibly difficult and uncertain path. While she hasn't received a formal achalasia diagnosis, her symptoms have kind of overlapped in some really interesting ways. And we're honored to share her story today with all of you.
So let's kind of start at the beginning. What were her first symptoms?
Okay, so about 6 years ago, she got a cold, just a normal, cold, that eventually morphed into this persistent dry cough. And it never really went away. Her primary care doctor diagnosed her with silent reflux and put her on Prilosec. Did you get that? You've gotten the diagnosis of silent reflux, right?
I have, yep.
So she stayed on Prilosec for about 6 to 8 months, but it did not help at all.
I mean, Prilosec, you might as well be taking a sweet tart. It's like nothing.
Tic Tac.
I love when they do that. And it's like, okay, after like a month, if it's not working, try something a little bit different or stronger. Like Prilosec is the most basic.
This
is the basic bitch of heartburn medicine.
We are too busy for basic bitch medicine.
No, we do not have time for that. So this cough just continued?
Yes, exactly. It was relentless. Eventually, she got in to see a gastroenterologist. And if you could just have heard her voice when I was interviewing her, you could just feel the frustration like come through, So she goes to the gastroenterologist. They did an endoscopy, which showed nothing wrong.
Of course it didn't.
Biopsies came back clear. So she was referred to an ENT who also found nothing. It literally was like every door she opened led to another dead end. I couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over it. Like not anything wrong.
I've actually been in her shoes before because when I was going through a swallowing issue, my gastroenterologist was like, I don't know what it is. So they sent me to the ENT. Yes. And the ENT was like, you have silent reflux. You need to see your gastroenterologist. And I went back to the gastroenterologist and they're like, well, but the ENT should be treating it. And I'm like, okay, I give up.
Right,
and I did give up. Right. So I can imagine that must have felt defeating for her because that's how I felt.
Yeah. It was like, it's just like this ping pong. They're just ping ponging her around from doctor to doctor. And everybody's like, nope, not me. Pass it on, So just so defeating for her. And honestly, it only got worse. The ENT referred her to a speech pathologist who thought maybe it was throat tension or postnasal drip. So she did these breathing exercises and straw therapy for months, but still no change. Did you ever do speech pathology before?
Nope, never even
I did years ago. I did when, how sometimes with my achalasia, the way the bile reflux will come up to my vocal cords and my voice gets really raspy. Yeah. They sent me to a speech pathologist for that to see if we could do through breathing exercises and just whatever else to maybe help where I wouldn't lose my voice as often. But I didn't really notice a huge difference. I did it for a couple months.
Yeah, I mean, it was suggested that I go when I first was diagnosed with ineffective esophageal motility just because eating was like such an issue for me. But all I had to do was figure out I had to like re-figure out how to eat again.
Right.
Like I just had to chew and swallow at my own pace.
Right.
I didn't need someone to teach me how to do that.
Right, exactly. Right. It was something you just had to listen to your own body and kind of figure out.
So when did she start looking into esophageal issues more seriously?
So what she did was she ended up going back to GI just out of sheer frustration. She was just over it. This dry cough. Imagine just coughing.
Yeah.
It's like this mystery cough. Like what? And you know how annoying a cough can be when you're sick. And then also she was talking about her poor husband. She's like, my husband, or just all the time. She's like, how are you dealing with me? And I guess he's a very patient and wonderful man. He's like, just tune it out.
That's nice.
Well, that's good for you. So she goes back to the GI and they ordered a manometry test. And if you've had one, I know Room and I, we both have, it's brutal. Now with this type of manometry that she had, she wore a tube down her nose and throat for 24 hours. So they inserted it into, at the office. And then she went about her life for 24 hours and she had to hit a button every time she coughed. But even after all that, 24 hours of wearing it, she said it was the most like traumatizing 24 hours Lauren, you have no idea. That's uncomfortable to begin with. But then to be just like walking around with it. And she said it was during COVID times. So she had a mask on. She's like, at least nobody saw like, that it was up my nose, you know, when I was out and about. And she had to hit a button every time she coughed. But even after all that, still nothing conclusive. There was, they couldn't figure out. There was no rhyme or reason of what was making her cough. Isn't that crazy?
It reminds me, remember when I did the pH manometry where like they put a robot on my esophagus and I had to press a button every time I had symptoms, but like I didn't have a tube going down my nose. And there were results after that test.
Right.
Like,
you had answers.
I had answers. Wow. So then after that came Dr. Jones.
Yes, yeah. So a year and a half later, she was referred to Dr. Jones.
A year and a half later.
I know, it's bananas, right? It's just so bananas. And this Dr. Jones is a thoracic surgeon. And I totally, I've raved about Dr. Jones. I can totally relate to her story about her. This was the first provider who really looked at her case holistically, like looked at every test, what every doctor said, went through everybody's notes. She is the most thorough woman I have ever interacted with. She's incredible. She's incredible. So having that, looking at it holistically was huge. And she believed that her LES muscle, that lower esophageal sphincter, was too tight and might be contributing to the cough. So she recommended Botox to help relax the muscle. And she, went in for an endoscopy and had Botox injections into the LES. And the first round actually gave her some relief for a few months.
Wow.
So that was great.
So that must have felt like kind of a breakthrough, especially after all this time. My God.
Yeah, right?
This is what, 2 years at this point?
Yeah, almost 3, I think, at this point.
Oh my God.
Nuts. So she did kind of have a breakthrough. But then the second round, when she went in for another round of Botox, when it started wearing off, because Botox is only temporary, it will wear off. It only paralyzes those muscles, usually for about 3 months. The second round wasn't effective. And the third, this is crazy. The third time she went in, which was just recently, this is when I was like, we have to share your story on the podcast.
Yeah.
So here she has had this tight muscle, right?
Yep.
Treated it. She goes in, she's still coughing, right? And Dr. Jones found that the LES muscle had actually relaxed on its own. So suddenly she wasn't a candidate for surgery anymore. And that is basically when she was getting the Botox injections, Dr. Jones was like, if this is working, you would be a candidate for the Heller myotomy.
Right.
And that's when her and I were talking about that surgery and she was navigating, should I do the surgery? She opted not to. She opted to do more rounds of Botox. She wasn't ready for surgery. And then when she went in for another round of Botox, Dr. Jones was like, it's all relax.
So first round worked. Second round didn't work. Third time, it was relaxed on its own.
Yeah. Dr. Jones is like, I've never seen anything like this before.
What?
I know. This is why I was like, we have to share her story. It is so bizarre. What's really interesting though, when she had the Botox the first time, it did subside her cough a bit. So she did have a little bit of like, kind of
a reprieve.
Yes, a reprieve of her symptoms. But then the cough came back, but the LES muscle was relaxed. So was it even it all along? Exactly. The look on your face that's exactly how she feels. And this is so wild. So this cough is just still,
So at this point, what has she tried?
Okay, so everything. She's done the Botox. She's done actually muscle relaxers like, this is a big guy. Bethanical, yes. Have you been on Bethanical before? I swear it sounded familiar. So she tried that. She tried tracking her food. She tried cough drops, Mucinex, allergy testing. Some days are good. Some others are miserable. There's just no pattern. And she's on blood thinners too because she's had past blood clots. But no one can tie that, those medicines or that to the cough either. So she's just living in this cycle of like, I thought I was having answers and then I'm not. And how do you go from having an LES muscle that's all tight and then you relax it, you get a relief of your symptoms, but then you go back in and it's relaxed, but your symptoms are back.
Well, have they ever tried, I wonder, what's that magic magic potion the doctor makes us that's got lidocaine in it, and we swallow it.
Oh, I don't know if she's ever tried. It's like the BMX suspension.
Yeah.
I've got to ask her. That's a great
Dr.
point.
Kim used to call it the GI cocktail.
Yes.
But I wonder, because it's got lidocaine in it.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it would like help to, that's a great idea. I'll have to see if she's ever tried that before, because yes, I've been on it multiple times, especially after I've had flare-ups.
So
yes,
much.
Or
when I'm in a bad swallowing flare, like, and I can't really like get anything down, or I'm coughing a lot, or I'm burping a lot, that is like magic juice on my esophagus.
It is. It just like coats it and soothes it and numbs it. Just gives you a little bit of a break. I'll have to ask her and see if she's ever tried that before. Yep. She's tried a lot, so.
Well, it sounds like she's trapped in like a Scooby-Doo mystery.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We need you to help her figure this out. So that is exactly it. And, during our last chat, I had this kind of gut feeling in the moment. And I said to her, I'm like, could this be autoimmune related? So I kind of shared my own experience, and I encouraged her to see a rheumatologist, and she's open to it, which I think is a huge step, because you and I have been talking a lot about autoimmune, diseases and conditions in women, and how many there are, and the frequency, how rare they can be. And could this, what did we share on recently? I think we have over 80 autoimmune diseases.
You said 80 to 100. You went with the lower end.
Yes. So could this be some weird, rare, mystery autoimmune thing? And she was like, yes, I'm open to try anything at this point. She has not seen like rheumatology or...
Oh, she 100% should.
Yeah. So I sent her my doctor who I see, and she's going to set up an appointment when she's back in town to get evaluated. And I'm like, it's simple. They run the blood work. They take you through the whole immune, protocol when you're in the office, and ask you all these questions. Yeah. And who knows, maybe it'll lead to some answers. But this poor thing is still coughing.
I wonder how many of our listeners might relate to this because I feel like swallowing issues, coughing's all part of the esophagus. Esophagus issues in general, there's not a lot known about them. Mm-hmm. And it's very generic what we do know about them. And a lot of research is happening right now, but I think more cases like this that come to light, the more research that will be done, and hopefully we can find more answers, because I think there's a lot more to the esophagus than we know.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when she was saying that, doctors kept saying, oh, go to that ENT. It's something related to your like sinuses or your whatever. But in the end, it's something to do with the esophagus. It's coming from it's with the esophagus. It's just, what is it?
I think about something as simple as, I finally got an iron infusion, and it improved my swallowing. Mm-hmm. So look at low ferritin was tied in with, and I would have, a listener suggested I get my ferritin tested, and I did, and it was low, and I got an infusion, and my swallowing has gotten better. This is what we're here for. Bouncing all, someone might be listening to this story and been like, oh my God, I've been there. And if you have been here and you know the answer to this, please email us.
Yes. We welcome any ideas, thoughts at all times, because I go back to the story we shared about the kid who had the cyclical vomiting. Yeah. The mom is the one who diagnosed him before the doctor did, so.
Well, I'm glad that she's going to see a rheumatologist. I feel like that's a huge step. And listening to her story, I have so many takeaways. Chronic symptoms are often so much more complicated than they seem, and you can do all the right things. You can see the specialists, you can take the meds, you can follow the protocols, and you still don't have answers. But Sue's persistence is something so many people with chronic illness can relate to. So even when she's exhausted, she keeps advocating for herself. She keeps going.
Yes. And that kind of perseverance is incredibly powerful. And it's a reminder to keep digging, even when the system says we don't know, right? Just keep digging, keep asking those questions. Don't give up, and I can't wait to hear if listeners have any feedback for us, that we're sharing this. And maybe anybody has had similar symptoms or similar issues. Please let us know.
I feel like this is like an episode of like a crime podcast. If you have any answers that can lead to finding the suspect,
please let us know. Dun, dun, dun. What was that show that was on where it was, oh gosh, what was it? Where he would die, people would come in with these rare conditions. House. Yes. It's like an episode
We
of
need House.
We need House. Dr. House. Was that his name? Dr. House?
Yeah. I think that was his name. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. So if you're listening and you feel like Sue, you're not alone.
Yes, you are not alone. That's what we say every week, right?
That's what we say every week. Well, this was a short but sweet one, and hopefully we will have an update for you on Sue in the next, coming months.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And you know what I did do? I sent her when we interviewed Jessica, who had, was it Graves? No. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the disease. She has the rare autoimmune one. But when we interviewed Jessica, she started with her weird symptoms of hearing and that sense. And here it is with, Sue, and it's a cough. And their stories started similar where the doctors thought Jess had a ear infection. And, they're thinking Sue is having some type of cough or postnasal drip or whatever it may be, right? So anyway, so I did send her, I said, Sue, you got to listen to Jess's story just because I think it starts out Wagner's, that's what it is. Why do I want to say Graves? I don't know.
Wagner's.
It's all Wagner's. It's Wagner's disease that Jess had. But anyway, it just made me think of that because it started with, that ear, nose, and throat, going to that doctor. And really, they were treating her for an ear infection.
And if it wasn't for her perseverance and persistence, she would not be where she is today.
Exactly. So Sue, we're cheering on for you, and we will keep all of our listeners updated on her story and how she's doing.
Thank you so much for allowing us to share your story today.
Yes, thank you. And thank you to our listeners. We, of course, always appreciate likes, follows, and reviews wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You can find us at I've Got Guts Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and you can email us at I'veGotGutsPodcast@gmail.com.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.